And we are live for November's recap show. This post is going to go live together with a video of this show. I want to go through over here. We're on a PeakD post that I'm creating for the recap. So it's a little bit of an inception here, a little bit before the show. We are recording it. We are live on Discord. So if we do this again, know that we have this channel AMA text and the AMA voice, so people can come in here. We hope some of these users will ask some questions at the end. We have a couple of questions already, but well, first of all, I am Jarvie, and we also have Asgarth live here as well, who will be answering a few questions. So all right, so first of all, we're going to go through what we're going to be talking about. We're going to do a recap of what's been going on since the last meeting. We're going to be talking about a little bit what's coming next. A little business news section that should be pretty quick. We got a couple of questions. Sergio, if you want to mute the person that's buzzing, I suppose. Thank you. And we have a couple of questions already. We're going to have a section about chat, messenger system, BChat. That was a popular topic from the October AMA. So there's been some recent things there. And so we got to follow up on that. And we're going to try to get some of your feedback. And then we're going to answer some more live questions. But I've told those on the Discord that they can already ask some questions if they would like right away here in the chat. So you're probably going to hear some people come in and out. But let's, first of all, do you have anything to add to that, Asgarth, as to the itinerary of this week's show or this month's show?
No, I think it's a great recap of what we discussed. So let's move forward with the question and with the points you already mentioned in the draft.
Okay. Again, just feel free to ask anyone that's watching live. Probably more people will watch it recorded than live, I would suppose. But if you're the lucky few that are in here, if you have any questions about anything, how to do something, future stuff like that, feel free to ask those questions now, so that when we can get to it soon, and we may sprinkle some in here and there as well. Okay, so for the recap, since the last show, technically Hard Fork 24 happened. And I think one of the nicest things, the most recent thing, is that basically all of the HiveMind database tweaks have been done to get pretty much everything working on the site. So one of the last things that was left was communities didn't have the ability to pin posts. So that's been added. And another thing is the ability to mute posts inside of communities. So the moderators here, as you can see, that was a feature that existed obviously for a long time now, since communities existed, but broke with the update for Eclipse Hard Fork 24. It was something that needed to be tweaked in the HiveMind code, and we actually just noticed that it started working today. So not sure if it's anything that we did, or it's probably something that the HiveMind developers did. So that's some good news. So that's it. So we're just kind of like catching up, I guess. Everything's kind of working in that respect. There's a few things on PeakD that still need to work like they did before the hard fork, and we'll get to that here pretty soon. But what we've also done since the last AMA was we added some API nodes that other people had created, so we added them in there. And one of the biggest things we did was we created this open source software called Node Beacon. And we added automatic node switching. So if you just go to, I'll show you here. If we go to settings, and it's the switch automatically. So there's lots of node options. I guess you can't see it when I do the drop down. I'm seeing, or can you see it? Asgarth, can you see that? Maybe it's not showing up.
No, I can see it if watching the stream. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think that those in the recording later will be able to see this drop down. The OBS software is probably not showing it, but doesn't matter too much. Just trust me that there's a bunch of things down below. Lots of node options. Great, I guess, decentralization. Um, and then, so we have it set to switch automatically. So if you go to, you don't need to, but if you go to beacon.peakd.com, this is what we created, and it does a bunch of tests. So recently, all 15 tests are being passed by quite a few nodes. So that's something that we've done. We do plan on doing some more with the Beacon software in the future, but right now, I guess the recap is that there have seemed to be very few node-related problems now. And a lot of node-related problems were perhaps related to the login software like Keychain or Hive Signer. And even those have kind of quieted down. But so there we go. So very few node-related problems now. There was this thing also that we did since the last time we had an AMA here, was we implemented this get account history thing that made some things faster. Maybe no one really noticed. Wallet transactions, account activities, curation trails, and the dashboard all in theory got much faster. That's just kind of a little hidden thing, I suppose. We did add a game to the wallet and their API, and we actually have another one that we're working with who is now creating an API. Should have it done pretty soon. So anything else, Asgarth, that you want to share in the recap section of this? If not, we're going to move to what's kind of coming next while I check to see if there's any questions. One would suppose you have video, right? I guess they're not seeing video. Is that correct? Is Asgarth here anymore?
Yes, I see the video actually. I think it's just if you want to watch the stream or just listen to the channel, but I have the screen.
Okay.
And from the list, maybe the only thing that is still it's not mentioned, it's that now when you switch account on a browser tab, it notify you in the other tabs and switch automatically. And this is something that I think we tried to do for quite some time and finally found the time to implement. So maybe not everyone is happy with this change, but the largest part of the users will find
Yes.
it.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
So he's saying that when you switch accounts to a different user, it will make sure that it knows that the rest of the tabs that you have open, it'll say, hey, it's switched to that account. There's quite a few things that it would confuse some people if you had switched accounts. So we made sure that people were notified that they had switched in another tab. So there's a couple questions here that I wanted to go over. People asking about a live stream link, and I've only ever done the screen sharing. So I don't know actually how it works, but Hive QA account said that in Discord there is a live button, and that will be next to Jarvie. So I guess you have to click that live button to see what I'm sharing live. So why is PeakD so awesome is what Inertia asked. This is what they would call in America a softball question. Maybe we will answer it by discussing. I mean, the recap is part of our our reasons perhaps why we're awesome. Asgarth as a developer is another reason, and I guess this section of upcoming, what we have coming up is maybe another reason. So that's a good segue question. Um, okay, so upcoming next, we have a HiveMind plugin to restore some features. So let's just have Sergio give a sentence or two as to what that is. It's a little bit of open source software. Just a short recap because it's coming out soon anyways.
So basically, in the past, we used to run our own HiveMind node, and we use that one to provide some feature not available with the standard API. But after the last changes to HiveMind, we are not able to run a node anymore. And so what we are trying to do is create a plugin, application, a simple application that node operators can run, so we can provide the same feature, but in a decentralized way that will make it much easier, better, and hopefully also faster.
Yeah, so some of these features like showing a feed from a list. Obviously, we don't really have many lists on PeakD, but like this system has a little bit broken, and badges aren't working optimally, and there's a few other things that need to be fixed, and so this HiveMind plugin will help with that. So here's a fun, we're on the beta site. I want to show this as something a little bit what we're going to be working on pretty soon. I'm going to go to most viewed posts, and it's showing, we're going to give awards, little graphical awards to posts that get lots and lots of views. So for example, we go to this one, Splinterlands presale. We already show like kind of the number of views in the last 7 days, but this was the top viewed post of the week right here. So a little bit of an award. When you click it, it will go to something. I don't know if it does that now yet. We still got a few things. So we're going to update this and do fun things to show you the most viewed posts of a day, the most viewed post of a week. And there could be a few other things that we could do with that as well. So I guess you'd think of badges as a way to identify an entire account for having done something. These little awards is to identify posts for having done something. So just a couple of things to start off with. So, all right. I'm going to go back to some questions. Oh, that's a good question. We're going to add that to the end, Ganja Farmer. So I'm going to add that to not get too derailed too much right there. So we're going to answer your question towards the end. I'm just going to go in here and check to see if there's any other I don't know if this is a serious question or not, but we're going to add this one to the end as well. And okay, so this is one we could just throw in right now. What is the correct pronunciation of peaked? Sergio, what do you say? Because I say them both because I like them both, peaked and PeakD, but I don't want to be the one that decides. I wouldn't mind if users basically decide. I'm fine. And his daughter says PeakD. So
lately, I'm trying to be more consistent, and I always try to say PeakD, but I'm open to suggestion actually.
okay, there's the answer. Toxic Ghost says PeakD. Marco says PeakD, and HiveQ says PeakD. So I guess there's starting to be a bit of a consensus with a few people, but still open to it. Okay, so we're going to continue on with some of the upcoming features. What do you guys think of the upcoming awards feature, post awards features. I don't have the actual terminology. I don't know if awards kind of confuses it with the awards that Hive Buzz gives. So we just want to like maybe identify it as post awards. So also we have started to show lower than 50 views on posts. So if we go here to like the top views from yesterday, and this right here, this UI is going to change up perhaps a little bit, because right now this is the rolling, well, I guess since it's yesterday, it's pretty final. And the awards, by the way, go to only currently rewardable posts. So if it's a month ago or back in June, the award will go essentially to the post with the most views that's in the 7-day period. So if we look at this, we actually see that yesterday they had around 40 views. Perhaps a little disheartening that the top most viewed post during a day on all of PeakD had just 40 views. But yeah, that's how it goes. I do hope that with this, people see the potential that rewarding posts go in here and reward these posts that are bringing people to Hive through PeakD. So we even see that we see posts that have like 30 views. So and this is yesterday. So I guess
no, but this one got way more view the day before,
yes.
and so that's why you see the award. But it's I remember something like 210, so it's a bit more.
Okay, so it's something we need to look into, I suppose. Okay. I'm going to check back here to see if there's any. Yeah, I am using OBS to record the screen. And just a reminder, you can click next to me and see the live button to see what I am showing on screen. And help people learn how to trade on Eternal system. It seems to be another question. I am going to add that to the questions for later and maybe get your, like, I don't know if I completely understand that. And here's another question by Anti-Socialists, which we will add to questions for later as well. And we already answered that question. Okay. Yeah. So back to where we were, which was upcoming things. We now show lower than 50. That was the last thing we covered. Sergio, can you explain this one? Are we doing this? Is this coming up soon?
Yeah, so basically on the website, you can vote just from the feed without opening a post. And we did a small change. So in that case, just a vote is counted like one view, because at times for myself, I do this myself. I cast a vote from the feed, and I think that should be counted like a view for the post, because it's a real vote. Someone looked at the post and cast a vote, so it makes sense to at least count it as a view.
Okay. So, for example, right here, I'll give a live example. I may have not actually opened up this post, which would count as a view per se, and previously would count as a view. But I've looked at this, I've paid attention to this. We believe that doing this action and giving it a manual vote, not like a automatic vote or anything to that effect, will count towards view. So me doing this action and spending the time with this post should count. So that is what that meant. Recently, if you look on my profile, so we're going to go to changes to Jarvie, go to all posts because I didn't post it on my blog. I posted it into the About PeakD community. I did a long, like 2-hour video, which you should watch in double speed probably, with someone that had never used Hive or PeakD before, and I took notes as to when they were confused or when they had questions, and we have a bunch of um, solutions in here that we are proposing, and so we are slowly going one by one on each of these things and fixing them. So in the next update, you should notice a decent amount, and maybe the update after that, maybe we'll finish. So quite a few things. Once that, we call it V1 because once that's all kind of done, we're going to do that again with another user, probably live, and get even more of those and keep on going through till it's even more polished. We would say that if you or a friend, maybe even a new user friend, if you challenge them to do that and have questions for us, and if they do a post, I don't know if you know, but we are very apt to give tips. I will often go into the PeakD topic. I will sort by recent because I'll go there decent amount of time, and we will find any stuff that has been posted with that topic, or obviously go into the About PeakD community and see if there's anything in here. Give full votes, give tip, Hive, straight up Hive, or some other cryptocurrency. We will give those tips to people. So we plan on doing some more of these new user feedback things. Um, and if you want to do them yourself or have other friends that want to do them, or just, have someone standing next to you at the computer and take some notes and stuff like that, that will definitely help with preparing to work really well with new users. Also, upcoming, we're going to be working on messaging. That is actually item number 6 here, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And we're also going to do some updates on the proposal user interface because of what we can do now with a free Hive SQL system. So I'm going to go back here to the AMA and make sure that we have some questions. So Marco says, you know that all my views on Brave all my views are on Brave, so that is why they are so weak and lame. So yes, if you have an ad blocker, analytics blocker on Chrome or Firefox, or you're using Brave like I presently use. However, you can see up here, it should show a drop down, maybe. It may not be showing it on the recorded version. I don't think it shows a drop down, but for you guys, it probably shows that. But what you can do is remove shields for and I have them down for PeakD, but for beta PeakD, I did not have them down. So that was a good example. So now my shields are down for the site. So now the analytics will work. And I don't know if we do much else on here. Like analytics is the main thing, right?
Yes, that's mostly what you unlock with the shield. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you take down the shields, then all your analytics will work, Marco. So and that is actually something I want to add into the notes for those watching later. So we're going to copy and paste that. It wasn't in necessarily the form of a question, but it was a good question. It led to a good question and good suggestions nonetheless. Okay, let's see. Your answer to your question on beneficiaries anti-socialist is added to the end. We're not. We're trying to stick to a certain degree, so you're in here. So we'll get to your question here pretty soon. As far as well, Asgarth, before we go to the next section, is there anything else in the upcoming that you wanted to mention real fast?
I think we covered all the main points.
Okay. So we're going to go to business news. Since the last time we did one, we won this little contest that we barely even knew about. I think maybe I knew about it at some point. I don't think I ever did vote for it. But we won this Noonies contest for Social Network of the Year, so yay us. We also have added someone to the team to help on business and planning. So will be working with us at least through the end of the year, and hopefully a lot longer, and helping us prep for some stuff on HighFest, which actually is one of the official questions on the post that we did. So also the proposal is still being funded. And that is going towards our hope is that we can find some developers. We can work with some third parties and develop some cool stuff. So as the fund gets larger, because even though the amount's a lot right now, this could go away at any point, of course, this proposal. I mean, it's been going for what, 13 months now? And I think it's been funded 3 of the 13, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 3.5 now. So it's not, we can't necessarily hire a full-time developer and just assume that we will have that ability to pay them forever. But the fund is getting larger so that we have the ability to have some safety there. So that's what I would say about that. If you know developers, feel free to send them our way. Obviously, mobile is a big project that we would love to work with someone. So there we go. Now I believe we get to the questions. We're going to get to a couple of questions here. We're going to talk about chat, and then we're going to finish up with the rest of the questions. That sound all right? So let's, it looks like there's another question here. I'll add it there towards the end of the questions. I want to check back in with Sergio, see if he has anything to add to this point while I'm working on this.
Oh, I think you already covered all the main news, and it's probably worth start discussing the questions. So.
Okay, so the first question is, are you going to be at HighFest next month? Will you be presenting? And that is by SJRV5. And the answer is yes for me and Sergio. We both have recently, well, I don't know if Sergio has gotten his yet, but Oculus Quest 2.
No, mine is still, I'm still waiting for the shipment.
And I know that this user also just got a Quest as well. So, and I have actually jumped into AltSpace VR app on the Quest, and it clicked finally. So I've been telling HighFest organizers that they should do like this thing this week, so users can click in their mind how it will work and how it will be cool, how it will compare and maybe not compare to previous Hive or Steam Fests in the past. I really think it will work out pretty decently, and going into the AltSpace VR really made me understand that a little bit better. So the plan is to present at least a state of the app, kind of like what we've done in the last year. And we've done that twice already now. So just kind of like, it's kind of a fun way to historically recap what we've done during a year. So it's a benefit to us as well. But we are planning we're considering heavily doing a much larger, more kind of general use presentation that will benefit everyone. So not just like a, hey, this is PeakD, or, like, look at us sort of presentation, but kind of a more general, useful presentation. So more on that later. At least we're going to work towards that. Whether or not we pull the trigger on it, it's going to help PeakD a ton working in that direction. So that's the answer to that. Is anyone here watching later or listening live? Are they planning on being there? And do you have VR? If you have a Quest, let me know, because maybe we can jump in and onto AltSpace at some point, or I don't know. So the next question is an update or progress report on the list functions would be great. I'm an avid fan of that part of PeakD, and that's by Bashadow. So I'm going to let you answer that one, Sergio, while I look at some questions.
So basically, we discussed this at the beginning, and what we are doing is creating a new open source app that node operators can use to provide some more API that we can use to restore those features. And hopefully, this is something that will be completed this week. And in one of the next updates, it will be available again.
Okay, thank you. Nersha said that his wife barely agreed to getting the Quest 2. So for some of you out there, perhaps an alternative is to borrow a VR system just for that weekend. And another alternative is to just do 2D instead of VR. So AltSpace, I believe I don't know how they're going to set it up. So keep an eye on HiveFest account. Okay. So should we do a few more questions before we get to the chat thing? I think we're on a roll, right? I think we should get to a few more questions. When can we have more PeakD market tools? I'm going to leave that up to Sergio, and in the meantime, show market tools. What do you think he means by market tools? Does he mean dashboard or
Yes,
market?
I think that there is another follow-up to the question to explain, and I think it's just the internal market, what it's available in the wallet in Iceblog. And we have not really spent much time discussing about this because not so many users use the internal market. And but yes, it's something we can do. It's just that it's not. It's our user have never requested this so much, so we never spend the time to work on it.
I wonder if he could do a post, perhaps giving some ideas, because we have a link to the internal market, and then we also use the swap to HBD that is provided by a third party. That's kind of an instantaneous sort of, like, you can take Hive and swap it to HBD, and then you can take HBD and swap it to Hive. So and you also have a convert to Hive. So what's the difference between swap to Hive and convert to Hive, I guess?
Oh, that swap to Hive is something that you can do right away, and you will get the Hive right in a few seconds. And the convert is the chain function that takes 3.5 days to complete. So it's a long-running process.
Yeah, when you click on them, you'll see a little bit more information on both of them. So swap to Hive means you're sending to this app, and we give a little bit of information as to what happens at that point. So, for example, we could send $5 Hive, and then we should be getting a transaction here in a little bit with basically Hive as a result from the thing. The convert is 3.5 days. So there you go. Otherwise, we're gonna wait to see a little bit more of what he was really wanting, I suppose. So let's go back to another question. Is there a way to make this a general internet browser for the future? I think that was another like, thanks, you're doing a really good job at PeakD. I appreciate it and good job. Not sure it's a super like serious question, but we will take it as a compliment. And I believe that in the future, PeakD could do quite a few more things that could cover perhaps what you do on your internet browser, I guess. So we already covered the correct pronunciation of PeakD, saying that I like both of them, Peaked and PeakD. But we're open for the community to kind of decide. Help people learn how to trade on the internal system. Is that the follow-up that you were mentioning previously, Sergio?
Yes, it's the first part of the follow-up, and there is another one. But yes, it's a follow-up.
Okay. So here is the internal system, the market, and there's methods for people to trade back and forth between Hive dollars and Hive. So I think the user would like us to inform users how to use this internal system. I think that PeakD could perhaps simplify usage of the internal system, perhaps, is what perhaps we could do. I just don't know how many users are using this or would use this. We also have, as just mentioned previously, this swap ability. So it kind of almost negates the need for the internal market to some extent for some of our users, I guess. Not sure. So, because I believe that the third party that does the swap, they may also use other exchanges and not just the internal market. So let's go back to, can we get beneficiaries back on Crosspost and communities? That's the question. That has been discussed many times in the past. Sergio, do you want to approach that one?
Yes, that's something we removed because the community was asking to remove it. Otherwise, the cross post will be seen as farming, and a lot of downvotes will be directed toward them. So we removed that option because it's easier to avoid flags and so on, and adding people to Hive watchers and something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And not sure we can really restore, because cross post has always been something to share the post and not share the reward. So it's a trade-off, but we don't have a better solution without avoiding upsetting other people. So that's it.
I mean, there are potential solutions. Cross posts could potentially earn Hive engine tokens, or when other tokens come more, what would you call it, more natively to Hive, perhaps that could happen, and the actual token owners could be deciding this sort of thing. So maybe we're just leaving that for the future, and leaving that to the communities to decide.
Yeah. Maybe another way to explain this is that we created cross post because there is one feature that we don't have on the blockchain itself. So we cannot reblog into a community.
Yeah.
And so we created the cross post. But if you look at the cross post as a reblog, you will understand why rewards are not allowed. So if at some point someone create a reblog for communities, we can just get rid of the cross post and just use the share button and the share in a community, and it will be the same post linked in two places. And at that point, the question doesn't really make sense anymore because it's the same post, so you cannot have more rewards.
Yeah, so basically it was just a way to reblog, and reblog it doesn't do that either. It doesn't give beneficiaries. Also, cross posts, I believe, was more than a little bit than just reblog. We wanted the ability for people to start a new conversation in the community. So if you have a post that talks about cats and dogs, and the dog community posted it, obviously their conversation would be about dogs. And if the cat community reposted it, they're going to have a conversation that is very different about cats. So, okay, I think that more than enough covers a lot of aspects of the cross posting. Let's see. Removing that killed communities. We should flag the abusers, not punish those that do right. Removing that killed communities. Communities has never been as healthy as now. Like, if we look at our when we look at our statistics, the bulk of interactions on all of PeakD is on communities. So I'm not sure what aspect it killed. It killed people making money, obviously, I suppose. But communities really is doing well when you compare to everything else. Okay. Back to the questions. I think we already covered this, that all my views are on Brave, so that's weak and lame. And then we informed the user that they can um, turn off their shields for Brave. And perhaps what PeakD needs to do is promote that aspect a little bit more. So, okay, and then we have something here. PeakD is run private to my understanding. So I think they're answering another question, someone else's question, but I'm going to read it anyways because I've not read it yet. PeakD is run private to my understanding. It is also funded in part by the DHF. Should a time come in the future for some entity to purchase the front-end code you developed, does the Hive blockchain hold any rights to have use of that code developed? I'll leave that to you, Sergio.
Sorry, I was answering the channel. And which one? The one on the...
Okay, so I think in a way we're answering this is that... Okay, yeah, you want to answer it? You probably have a more...
Yes. Okay, so I think that there are multiple things to consider. The first one is that hopefully we'll keep working on the project for a long time, and this is what we hope. And we would like to get more help, so find more developers joining the project and not really selling the project. And I think that also if at some point an external company want to join and participate in the project, we will probably still focus on the same blockchain. So we'll try to stick to Hive, and because that's what the website is all about. I don't think that it makes sense to purchase an asset so tied into the blockchain itself and try to move it somewhere else. It's just not going to work. It's a lot. It's way more work than the time we spent to create it in the first place. So it's probably not going to be a good deal for anyone.
Okay.
And
and also some of our thoughts on code as far as like open source sort of thing was in the last AMA, if you want to watch that as well. Now we want to, keep the show a little bit short and move on. Almost done. We're gonna follow up or end with discussion about chat, about bchat. And if you have any other questions, we'll also throw those in. But looking like there's not as many at the moment. So bchat, we were getting close to doing something else. Not something else. We had a different plan of attack for how to get chat implemented. And keep in mind, bchat, sorry, I can also highlight over here, was one of the biggest discussions in the last month's AMA. And we were going to go down a different route on how to get it done. But then we saw a post from Agrid that they're getting it integrated into their tribes. And so I went over here to test it out on palnet.io on one of their tribes. And as you can see here, they have a little message system down at the bottom, a little icon. And if you'd open it, they call it a BChat troll box. So I guess essentially it's just a way to interact with everyone on Palnet. But I was informed by Sergio that a lot of what they've done is getting this ready has made it a lot easier for us. There's also farmer farm. So I have that open as well. And there's a messaging system, and they've integrated the bigger messaging system where you can like say hello, hi. And you can also see these troll boxes, what they call troll boxes. I don't know what troll box means. It's a silly word in my world. I don't know what they even mean by that. So obviously we probably wouldn't call it a troll box. But okay, so Sergio, take it away from here and what that kind of means for us. And my question though to everyone here is like, what really do you want to see out of Messenger, out of a chat system? This is our request to you guys. What we would love to have users participate in ideas, mock-ups, and requests for chat. And you can think of those, maybe add some here, while Sergio kind of tells us what may be the upcoming future for chat.
I think that what is available now on Tribes is an MVP, and that we can probably start implementing something very similar. That is also nice because the user can keep chatting across different websites, and we can probably get more feedback. So if you have any feedback, feel free to share, and we can maybe find a way to improve the MVP at some point.
Okay, sounds good. So Anti-Socialist asks, when BChat?
I don't have a date yet on this one, but probably is one of the next big thing that we'll try to work on. So hopefully next month.
Okay, and Inertia says that Trollbox means unmoderated. That word makes a lot more sense. And the Hive says BChat will be a buzz, or the buzz, I guess. And then my suggestion for anti-socialists who still would love to see the beneficiaries added to cross posts is to do a post and to get a lot of people to help bring people to your side and share why do you want it. I would say do a post, get some people, get the discussion going, get to see what their concerns are, and answer their concerns, and play diplomat, I suppose. Okay, I believe that's all the questions, Sergio.
Yep.
Anything else you would like to discuss? Are there any other questions that we have? We ended up with a little group here. We thank you all for your questions. We were a little concerned that there was only 2 to begin with, but now we added in another 8 or so. And that
Yeah.
was pretty good. So I will stop the recording now. And thanks to everyone for the questions.